the basics and definitions about mesmerism, magnetism, fascination, concentration. This course is about the use of mesmerism and other ancient methods and techniques in combination with modern hypnosis to get better results. And it's very important for you to understand these definitions, because the word mesmerism is often used in a wrong context. The originator of the animal magnetism or mesmerism, Franz Anton Mesmer, was not the discoverer of hypnosis. He didn't want to be the discoverer of hypnosis. His last book in his life he wrote was about that he didn't like it that his method, his animal magnetism, was used for this, it was not called hypnosis, for this kind of artificial somnambulism. And he tried to, that the world knew that he isn't the originator of this artificial somnambulism, and he wanted to generate an energetic healing system, and he did. But his students, especially the Marquis de Puységur, discovered that people got in deep trance states and followed in hypnosis states because they followed his suggestions when they were mesmerized. And so not Franz Anton Mesmer was the discoverer. His student, especially the Marquis de Puységur, was the discoverer of the use of mesmerism for hypnosis. At first, Mesmer used magnets to put it on the client, and because he thought that the magnetism, ferromagnetism, would do the work. And once he forgot his magnets and just used his hands, and then he saw that it also worked without the use of magnets. And then he had the idea that the energy, it was like an energetic fluid floating out of his hands and of the hands of every mesmerist and magnetist. And so he began to treat people, very successful, healed blind people, every diseases, and was a very successful kind of healing. And of course, if you're successful and you heal successful other people, you don't have just friends in the world, because the doctors in this times and also the church didn't like it very much. And so we had to go from Vienna to Paris, and then he got back, and then he his last years he lived in Switzerland. And this the reason, because that's one of the reasons why we find a lot of information in these countries. In Austria, because this was the source. In France, because he worked in France also with the Marquis de Puységur, is a Frenchman, and then he went back to Switzerland. Switzerland is exactly next to Austria, and so it's all in the heart of Europe. So we can say that the hypnosis states or trance states they reached by using mesmerism were a side effect. The idea was to heal people, and the side effect was that they got into deep trance states, and these trance states often were much deeper than we know it today. People got often into so-called mesmeric crisis, healing crisis. We come to this later. Maybe you have seen this before, like in some cultures you see these phenomena, also like archetypy, when people or emotional They got very emotional during the sessions. And this also happened very often in this mesmerism sessions. Today we see these things sometimes during our hypnosis sessions, but if you use classic linguistic patterns, verbal hypnosis, you will not see this phenomena as often as you see it if you use these mesmeristic methods we learn in this course. 200 years ago, the hypnosis inductions were much more non-verbal on a physiological level, and so the communication went now. It used not the neocortex of the brain. It was the connection between hypnotist and his client, unconscious mind to unconscious mind. The communication, unconscious to unconscious. The one has the hypnotic power and communicates on a non-verbal level with the unconscious mind of his client. This is much more effective than any linguistic pattern you can learn today. When we use the word magnetism in this context, the hypnotic context, this means the personal magnetism of the hypnotist. This personal magnetism is a mixture of the personal power, the charisma, the willpower, and the ability to concentrate. The ability to concentrate is a very, very important thing in hypnosis and in every situation in life. And mind control, and the ability to imagine, and the natural power to influence others. And mind control in this context doesn't mean to control the mind of another person. This is the second step. Of course we want to control the mind of another person, but at first you have to control your own mind. If you have your mind under control, if you have your thoughts under control, if you can concentrate, then you have the ability to lead others, consciously and unconsciously. This personal magnetism can be learned and be trained, and it's very important for our work. Today, hypnosis is sometimes or mainly reduced on the suggestibility of our subject and of the right use of, I've said before, linguistic patterns of verbal suggestive techniques. And this is, people think that if they learn these techniques, they are good hypnotists. But this hypnotic power is not a kind of magic. It's just ancient knowledge we've saved from getting lost. Because I think you've noticed now that today there's something missing in hypnosis. The techniques, the non-verbal techniques are missing, and the hypnotic power of the hypnotists are missing. You have to be the hypnotist, not a hypnotist. And it's not enough to learn techniques. Techniques do not matter. Studies show that it's not the most important thing in any therapeutical context is the relationship between in this case the hypnotist and his client. And this relationship depends mainly in hypnosis on the feelings you can produce in your client, that the client can believe you, that you are the hypnotist, that you can solve or help him to solve his problem, that he can or she can trust you. These are the important things, not the techniques. We will see later. It's if you use age regression, past therapy, if you use past life regression, or you use content-free therapy and whole things, and people give them new names, protocols and whatever. In reality, of course, in my reality, if you have one method and you think it's great and your client think it's great, the method is great. And there is no reason to think about it if the method is wrong or right. Because studies show that the most methods are not right. Because nearly every method has, or technique has mistakes or errors inside. But it doesn't matter. You know, in psychotherapy, in the world there's no psychotherapeutical method or technique or school who's right 100%. Every psychotherapeutical school has its own errors and mistakes. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Because if you're a great psychotherapist, it does not matter what methods you use. I think it's hard to understand, but in the hypnotic context you will understand it better a little bit later. In former times the hypnotic power was the hypnotic power of the hypnotist has been the key to success, the only key. They had no methods because at the beginning they only worked with direct suggestions. They said, okay, I'm the hypnotist and the illness is gone. It's just an example. Yeah? There's no technique. The technique is that he's a hypnotist. And or you use a technique like, okay, you have a problem and I'll bring you in hypnosis. And once you're in hypnosis or in a deep trance state, I say, okay, a beam of white light is entering the area or the situation and heals the problem. It's gone. And this worked in 200 years ago, 100 years ago, without any symptom shift, because if the hypnotizer, the hypnotist believes in his ability, in his power, and the client believes, and both of them think that the method, the technique is the right one, it will work. That's very, very important to understand. We have to produce belief, we have to produce people who are really convinced, and if they are really convinced, consciously and unconsciously, we will be successful. But at first, we have to be convinced for ourselves that we are the hypnotist. And how to learn that? You will learn it in our lesson 6 of this course. And comprehensively, this course is not about mesmerism as Mesmer meant it. It's not about energetic healing. It's about the use of these techniques, the use of special techniques to increase your hypnotic power. It's about to reach deeper trance states with the clients, to get faster and better results, instant healing, instant change. And one of the main lessons is how to increase your personal power, not only as a hypnotist, also in the rest of your life. Now we know the definitions. We know personal magnetism is the personal hypnotic power of the hypnotist. We know that mesmerism we understand as a not as energetic healing system. We understand mesmerism as techniques to bring people in deeper trance states, deeper hypnosis. And we know that it's very important concentration, that we have to concentrate our own thoughts, our own mind. Only if you control your own mind, you can control and lead others. That's very important. But you will learn a little bit later these techniques to control your own minds, your thoughts, to build up your willpower, your concentration. It will help you in every situation in your life. Okay, this brings us to our next lesson. Our next lesson, number 2, is about how to build instant rapport